Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses, people, and organizations in to talk about what they are giving to our community. My name is Don Paquette.
And I'm Angela Paquette, and we're with the Paquette Group Real Estate Professionals. As realtors and brokerage owners, we bring valuable insight into the local market and community every week.
Thanks for listening, and welcome to Livingston. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast. My name is Don Paquette.
And I'm Angela Paquette, and we're with the Paquette Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yes, and we are super excited about today's episode, but before we get started, I wanted to take a quick moment to acknowledge our sponsor. Today's episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast is brought to you by our valued sponsor, Jim Paquette with Lake Michigan Credit Union. He is a trusted mortgage lender who has lived and worked in our community for many years. Jim Paquette is dedicated to helping our neighbors achieve their home ownership dreams and is proud to support the local businesses that make our area special. And I just think, he is a great person to work with. Very professional.
Absolutely. Outstanding. And I just feel like he goes the extra mile for his clients, that it's just such a pleasure to see.
Yeah, and he's local and he's involved local. He's a person that you actually see in the community, which is great.
Yes. Really does a lot to support the community.
100%. So speaking of the community, the Welcome to Livingston podcast, a lot of times we have local businesses on where we talk to them about what they're doing in the community, maybe talk about local causes, festivals, those sorts of things. But we do take a break from that sometimes to talk about other stuff.
Yeah, which makes it kind of fun. Shakes it up a little bit, and especially in terms of Thanksgiving this year, right?
Yes.
This is Thanksgiving. And what's one of the things you think about when you think of Thanksgiving?
Well, you think about turkey, right?
Yeah.
But the turkey is cooked in the kitchen. And, when we were talking about topics for this and I came up with this topic, I didn't realize until you brought it up to me sitting here that this is going to drop
on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
So, the thing
apropos.
we wanted to talk about today is we wanted to talk about kitchens. Being in real estate, being realtors, the kitchen is a central part of the house and it's really important, right? And a lot of people, when they look at their kitchens, they're looking at this idea, does it work for me? Does it work for where I am today? And then, sometimes it's, do I remodel or do I renovate or rebuild? Like there's like this idea of like, how far do you go, right?
Right, for sure. Well, and it's one of the home improvements that you really get the biggest value on resale for as well. But ultimately,
it's one of the ones where you can spend the most too.
Yeah, this is true. But it affects your everyday, day-to-day life.
100%.
More than pretty much any other room.
Right.
And that's something, everybody in the household is affected by the kitchen. So if the kitchen isn't working, if it's outdated, if it just, it really can use some love.
Right. Well, it's one of those things also that you can spend a few $1,000s or you can spend over $100,000 on your kitchen.
Yes.
Our topic today is talking about that. Talking about kind of where you would start, what are some of the things that go into that, and what are some of the questions our clients have or thoughts that we have on kitchens.
Right. Yeah. So where to start?
Well, I think the biggest thing to start is to sit down and look at how do you use your space? How do you use your kitchen? If you are going out to eat all the time and you're not really using the kitchen for more than, microwaving some stuff, maybe doing a little meal there, you're not in a situation where you need to gut a kitchen down to the studs. Unless the reason you're not using your kitchen is that it's unusable.
Right.
Right. So you want to kind of look at it and say, what do I like about my kitchen? What do I not like about my kitchen? And then start from there. Maybe make a list of these are the things I would love to have in my kitchen.
Right.
And then where to go from there. But I would say that when you get that idea, sitting down with a company that does kitchen remodels sometimes is a good area to start. Going on Pinterest is a great area to start as well.
Yeah, just getting ideas and trying to get clarity behind what does the kitchen of your dreams look like.
Yes. which I've done before, which we've done before. We actually did a kitchen remodel once.
We did. Yes, we did. And from there, it's, like you said, you can really deep dive or do minimal or, it's a whole variety of things. But ours was kind of in between.
In between, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't cut things, but we did change the configuration.
A little bit. And you know what? The thing is, I have that on my list. And so since you mentioned configuration, let's talk about that right now really quick for people.
Sure.
When you're looking at your kitchen remodel, understand that if you are changing the location of your appliances, if you're changing the location of your sink, you are drastically increasing the cost of your remodel. Anytime you have to move plumbing, you have to move gas lines, you have to move electrical outlets, that is adding the cost. So when you're looking at your kitchen, one of the first things to look at is, do you like the flow of the kitchen? Right? So if you're just changing out cabinets, changing out countertops, changing out flooring,
appliances,
but as long as you're keeping them in the same locations, they're the same sizes.
Yeah.
Right? That can keep your costs down, but you can still get a brand new kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? But what you said, what we did is we eliminated an island and added a peninsula.
Right.
Which
so
completely changed it
around, changed the whole flow, but we didn't move where the appliances were or any of that.
Yeah.
So.
We did add a gas line. So one of the things is a lot of people nowadays, when we are taking our clients out to look at houses, gas ovens are a really big thing right now.
Yeah.
They're
For the most part,
pun intended, they're hot.
Yeah. There you go.
But when you're remodeling your kitchen, a lot of times people are bringing that gas line in so they can go to a gas stove.
Right. And frequently they'll ask, hey, will we be able to bring the gas line in pretty easily? Or
yeah, it's not as an expensive remodel as you think, as long as you're not changing the location there.
Makes it
for an oven.
Right.
So that's a really good thing. But when you're looking at changing the configuration, that's where you're going to need some professional help coming in to be able to do those things. So then you're drawing a plan on the kitchen. You're getting a CAD workup so you can see, can I fit what I have in here? Some of the things, the big trends are walk-in pantries right now.
Yeah. No, those are very popular. And even in terms of talking to companies, there's lots of companies that we'd be happy to recommend to any of our listeners.
Yep.
And some we've even had on the show before.
100%.
So that's something that's kind of
even you can even go the Home Depot, Lowe's route, that they have good reps there that can sit down with you and at least give you a good idea.
And that's a possibility. But I would say for anybody that is considering that, definitely talk to a variety of different
100%.
Because certainly we had somebody recently not have a very good experience with that. And in general, I've definitely heard mixed reviews.
Well, I have too. And then, the nice thing about a lot of these local companies that are doing in the remodel business, that they'll sit down and they'll talk about a plan with you and such. The people that you're talking to are actually the people that are coming to do the work.
Right.
It's not being subcontracted out. And feeling confident in the people that are coming in to do the work is so important, because one of the big things is when you're talking about timelines, right? So let's start off with the fact of someone that just they want to paint their cabinets, maybe put on some new hardware.
Little facelift,
take the mic off and put down some granite or some quartz, get some new appliances and throw down some new flooring.
Yeah.
That could still be
Well, I was looking at national averages, and the national average on that was running about $27,000. $27,000, the bare minimum.
Right, but timeline-wise, I mean, you could be talking 6 to 8 weeks there.
Yeah,
just for something like that, right? And you have to look at that of like, okay, where am I going to eat, right? So the funny thing is the biggest thing when we did our remodel. So to start off, when we did our remodel, we had the bright idea that I was going to do the demo myself.
Yes.
So,
which in terms of saving money, if you're able to do any parts of the home renovation,
we saved a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
So for us, what we did is I got a dumpster. I ripped my own countertops off. I ripped my own flooring up to the subfloor. And, I got it all ready for the new stuff to come in, to the point of I went out and I bought cabinets that matched the cabinets we have. So I kept everything that I could, took the island out, and then added some cabinets for the peninsula. So when they came in, they were just putting on the new countertop. We had a painter come in and paint the cabinets for us and put on new hardware, had new flooring put in, and had new appliances come in. But even with that, we were microwaving food and going out to eat for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Right?
Depending on the time of year that you're doing it, that grill comes in handy.
We grilled a lot.
Yeah, you can do some grilling and not even have to use the kitchen.
Yep. So look at those things. Picking a contractor is really important. Go out and try to price out as much as you can.
Before you begin. Right?
Before you begin. Have a budget in mind and understand that you're going to go over budget.
Right. It's inevitable.
Yes. One of the things I wanted to talk about, I know I'm jumping around here a lot. One of the things I want to talk about when we're talking about appliances is one of the big trends right now is to go to those restaurant quality appliances where you're bringing in a Viking stove, you're bringing in a Sub-Zero refrigerator. Mm-hmm. Understand that those take up a lot more space. So when you're looking at that idea, you need to realize, do I have enough cabinets right now? And can I take losing that space for the appliances?
That's a great point. Even I'd also like to point out that even though those are pricier, when it comes to resale, a buyer's not going to spend that much extra. They're going to love it, and they're going to think, oh, that's great. But basically, you don't get one for one back. So any of those expensive decisions in particular, understand that you're making it for yourself.
Right. Well, that's when we talk to our sellers, when we talk about it increasing demand, not increasing value. It will increase value. But, I mean, you can spend $10,000 on a Sub-Zero refrigerator. You can spend that on a nice big Viking stove.
But you're not getting that.
No, you're not getting that one
dollars.
For one.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is you're getting a portion of it back. You're not getting the full value of that back.
A little bit, yeah.
But that being said, they are amazing. And if you are looking for a chef's kitchen and you are one of those people that is doing a ton of cooking in the kitchen, then you're looking at your value in terms of your enjoyment. Right. There's people that spend so much time in the kitchen when they're doing that remodel, it's for their enjoyment.
So what I was reading on this that was so interesting to me, because especially people that love to cook, cooking is a messy business, right?
Yes, it is.
And since, sort of the trend has shifted over to that whole open concept centered around the kitchen, people with those types of houses are finding that they're not really excited to always have to be keeping everything clean because that daily mess is on display, right? And so that's a little tough. So because of that, in the last year here, the idea of sculleries have really kind of taken some wings here. Now, a lot of houses just don't even have that ability, but I guess for new construction, it's getting to be popular, and even some renovations where, whether there's like a mudroom off of the kitchen or something like that people have gone in and renovated. And so I wanted to get into in terms of a scullery and what that is. But you were
what is a scullery, though?
You mentioned like the historical side of.
Well, sculleries are really interesting. So why don't you tell us what a scullery is, and then I'll kind of go into the historical aspect of a scullery.
Sounds good. Basically, it's a primary space for the function of sort of another cooking, prep, or cleanup area.
Out of sight, out of mind type thing, right?
It can be messy. It's when, where some of that cooking actually happens, or even in terms of when you've been cooking, have you ever wanted more space, whether it's the holiday like Thanksgiving or whatever, you're even stacking all those dishes and, having them out of sight.
Right.
There's a lot of things just to have some extra space. You could even have a butler's pantry in there if you wanted, or kind of the coffee bar or wine bar.
But such a nice area to be able to go into and put your dirty dishes and such, especially if you're having a party or, like you said, Thanksgiving and such, where the door closes behind it and that's not seen, and you can continue on with your party without having this messy area, which is such a big deal in these open concept kitchens because it's always there, right?
Exactly.
But the historical aspect on it, if you look at the way houses were set up, if we're looking at turn of the century, 1900 and such, a lot of times you had a scullery area where even before that, you would think of that's where the servants were that took care of the food and such, that they weren't seen by the guests and such, but it was being prepared back there. It was being taken care of there. The dishes were being done back there so it wouldn't affect the ambiance of the party.
Right, that it's all out of sight.
It's all out of sight.
I think another terminology it uses like the dirty kitchen. That's
right,
the dirty kitchen.
But, I think that's fascinating because we've said it in a few other episodes. One of the things that we thought was the most fascinating to come out of the pandemic was that people didn't want the open concept anymore. They would sit down and talk to us and they would say, I need my own space. I don't want to see everyone else and hear everyone else all the time, because you had the first floor was one big room. It was your dining room, your kitchen, your great room all together.
Right.
And they're moving away from that where, I was looking up stuff for that and they were talking about they've gone back to the closed off kitchen where if you remember seeing, I'm going to say Happy Days, right? Because it's a separate room. It's all by itself.
And a lot of homes still have it that way.
Right, but they're saying now there's a door on it.
Wow.
Like there's a physical door.
Like back in the day.
Back in the day to close your kitchen off, and that's becoming a new trend again.
Okay. And that makes sense in terms of that whole scullery type of
right.
idea too. And which I did want to mention, we have a client who does a lot of canning, loves canning, and that's her dream to have a scullery just to be able to do the canning out of.
Right, yeah.
But certainly sometimes people have the kitchens in the basements too.
Right. That back in the day you had the holiday kitchen.
Right.
Where you could do the kitchen in the basement. And one of the things I would say, so we moved about a little over 4 years ago now, and I went from a 1 oven kitchen to a 2 oven kitchen.
You are the chef of the house. I'm culinarily impaired. So.
But that was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I have 2 ovens for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
It has completely changed my day. I get to enjoy the holiday so much more than before, and I don't have to get up as early in the morning to be staggering the dishes to make sure everything's done at the same time. Because anyone out there that does the holiday cooking, we want everything to be hot when it needs to be hot, right?
Yeah.
And when you only had 1 oven, that was so difficult. So anyone out there that's looking at renovating a kitchen,
that's the best thing you can recommend.
A gas cooktop and 2 ovens are like,
gold.
Just so happy, yeah. But having those 2 ovens was so nice. The one thing I would like is they're both down low. I'd love a stackable one because, as you get older, leaning over to get that turkey isn't as easy as it once was.
True.
So, but, one of the other things I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about flooring for a minute.
Yeah.
Because we renovated our old house and we put the same flooring throughout the main floor. For the most part, that went into the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I learned something there of if you have hardwood in your kitchen, it is a lot of work to keep that looking nice because of the grease, because of everything that happens in the kitchen that isn't happening in the living room. LVP's made it a long way. That they're doing amazing things with a luxury vinyl plank nowadays. But look at your lifestyle when you're making these renovations. And if you're going to be renovating your kitchen, make sure it fits for the way you operate.
The functionality.
The functionality.
Right. For your lifestyle.
Yeah. 100%.
Makes sense. Ceramic tile is another good option too.
Oh,
in
yeah.
terms of cleanability and
Yeah, no, ceramic tile is great, cleanability and everything. You want to make sure you're not dropping dishes. You can crack a tile and such.
that's fair. Yeah.
You know, some of those older trends are coming back and such. I love some of the stuff they're doing with the backsplashes nowadays. You know, I'm still one for subway tile because I think it gives it a nice clean look. But one of the things you're seeing nowadays is you're seeing and you told me about this today, you're seeing your quartz countertop also serve as a backsplash. And they're sometimes doing backsplashes that go all the way to the ceiling now.
Right. Whether with the quartz or even just with the tiles or subway tiles. Or
Right.
whatnot.
All the way to the ceiling.
Yeah. Aesthetically, that's something that's coming up, especially as there's a, large hood fan, because people will find now that, as they're cooking more and what they want, the hood fans are very important.
100%. So to put my realtor hat on, if you are a buyer out there and you're looking at homes and one of your things that you want is you want a nice hood fan in the kitchen and you're going to be doing some renovation or you're buying one, make sure you look to see if that fan is vented to the outside of the house or where it's vented, because there's a lot of them that vent right back into the kitchen. And if you have a good agent, they're going to be able to tell you if it's vented to the outside or not, because the worst thing you can do is be prepping yourself for remodels that either aren't possible or are going to cost you more because you had a false sense of what you were working with before you started.
That's a great point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but some of the things, that gas, electric stove, the backsplash, soft close drawers are still a huge thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that you can go out there and you can buy kits to turn your drawers into soft close drawers yourself.
Wow.
That being said, when you're doing a remodel, spend that little bit of extra money to get those nice things that you want.
Roll out shelves.
Yeah,
Those are great.
A nice roll out trash area.
Yeah.
Is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as you're trying to weigh out what's important and what isn't, or, it's worth that extra money. Interestingly, some of those little extras are the things that make the biggest impact on resale and even just in your own personal enjoyment,
Right.
because it's going to be new when it's new, but then when it's not, if it's not better than you had before and it just is a different color, then the big boom of
Right.
actually doing it really doesn't have that same impact.
Exactly. And be careful on paying for those really trendy things that may or may not last. We see all the time of you walk in and you're like, that was popular in 2002.
Yes, yes, exactly.
It was really popular for about 18 months. But one of the things that I thought was really unique that you jumped into my mind when you were saying that, we have seen some kitchens that have a built-in area for your dog bowl and your water.
True.
That right underneath the butler's pantry or built into an area that I was like, wow, that is really unique. That is, that's cool. Tucks it away, but it's a dedicated area, right?
Right.
But all those things are really important. Wine fridges are big right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they're doing now is they're doing hidden appliances. And the easy way to think about it is when you see the refrigerator, that the front of the refrigerator looks like the cabinets that they've custom put on a front to make it look like the cabinets and you don't know where the refrigerator is. They're starting to do that with a lot of the other stuff as well. They'll do it with the dishwasher and such. So when you glance at the kitchen, you don't see the appliances.
Yeah. And that used to be popular way back when. So it's interesting that that's
right,
making a revival there and whatnot. And I know you said the wine fridge, but the whole coffee bar thing. Coffee is such a big part of people's lifestyle. And so that's something that's...
Right. I mean, what people want in their kitchens nowadays is they want it to be an entertainment space. The big islands are really popular.
Right. Where people can gather.
Yeah.
So in being able to not just look like a bar, but to actually be conversational.
Exactly.
Sitting around it. We had mentioned butler's pantry, but a butler's pantry is something that is more You can put the china there. Maybe the wine bar or coffee bars kind of doubles as part of that.
Or bar.
Yeah, or the bar, right? But we had also talked about in terms of historical stuff that.
Yeah, no. I like the idea of the butler's pantry. The butler's pantry is that area for the more refined, like you said, china and such, but
Crystal.
It's crystal and everything. It's that area that you keep it a little bit nicer than the scullery, right? I don't know how to describe it, but I really like the idea of what butler's pantries are and what they've kind of grown into.
Right. And there are a number of the larger sized houses, especially those built in the 80s and the 90s, that was definitely very popular back then to have kind of that little room in between kind of the kitchen and the dining room.
Right. Yep. I've seen a few of them remodeled to turn it into like a little computer desk nowadays.
Yep.
Which is nice as well. So you see how, functionality changes and trends change.
Right.
But for those of you looking at remodeling your kitchen, I would say the most important thing is to sit down and make a list of what you're looking for in your kitchen and think about how you've used your kitchen and how you want to use your kitchen. And then make a pro and a con list about how big of a renovation you want to do. Okay, because when you sit down with someone, you can go as simple as painting the cabinets and putting on a new countertop, and as expensive as gutting it down to the studs and possibly removing a wall.
Right. Also understand, and this is wearing my realtor hat, if you're spending huge amounts of money that, again, on resale, you can't get back. Make sure that this is something that you're doing for yourself and that you do plan to be here for a while.
Right.
Because there's nothing worse than somebody dropping $100,000 and then decide they're an empty nester a couple of years later and, maybe it's time to sell.
Yes, but I would say the most important thing there is to call us.
That's true.
Sit down and talk to us about it, because while what you're saying is 100% true, it also depends on exactly what the renovation is.
That's true.
Because there's good money to be spent and there's bad money to be spent. And it depends on how you're spending that money. What is it you're doing to the home? And then when you're doing it in the kitchen, how does it incorporate into the rest of the house?
True.
So all those things make a really big impact. And unless you sit down with a realtor that knows what they're doing and can pull up some comps and can talk to you about the renovations you're making, and then ask you some important questions of why you're doing it, how much is it costing you, how long until you plan to move, and then looking at how outdated your kitchen was before you started. Because by the exact same token of you're not going to get the money back sometimes the kitchen is so outdated, you're losing money because you're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's true too.
So you have to look at the, 6 in this hand, half dozen in another. Where are you? Where is it? And every situation is unique. And that's why we tell our clients, your situation is 100% unique. Sit down with us, have a discussion, because then we can give you good advice that isn't just general advice.
Right.
It's specific to you.
Yes. We can offer our insight on how that relates to your situation.
Right. And remember, most remodels, please do them for yourself first.
Right. This is something
do them
that
for
you want
your
to do.
enjoyment.
Right.
But don't make trendy mistakes that'll cost you in the future. Right. One of the things we're seeing that's really trendy right now is these bold colors where your cabinets are one color and your island is another color.
Some of them bright colors.
Right?
And that's tough.
We sold a house about 4 or 5 years ago that had a canary yellow kitchen.
Yes.
And the first thing we did when we were in there, they were like, hey, do you have any advice on what to do to get ready to move? We were like, paint your kitchen.
Yes. Yes. I would say bright yellow, pale yellow, not so much, but bright yellow and red are two of the colors that buyers are most averse to.
Well, and this one was this was big bird yellow.
Yes, it was bright.
And it was a beautiful kitchen.
Yeah.
And again, that's one of those things where you're doing it for yourself. It was really nice.
Yeah.
But it was specific where you're trying to appeal to a broader audience. So there's this difference of like, when you're building it for yourself, that's for you. So if you like the bright colors, you go for it, because it's your enjoyment. But then if you're looking at resale, we're putting on a different hat and we're having a different conversation.
Right, exactly. And that's why it's helpful to just kind of be thinking ahead on those things.
Yep. So, but I would say that a lot of people ask us questions about kitchens, and kitchens, the number one place where remodel happens. It's kitchens, bathrooms, and master bedrooms.
Right.
And basements.
In terms of trends, as we were talking about that, we're seeing a lot of a shift from all those cool, all the grays, right? The grays and white, still very popular, but into warm woods, right? And in terms of colors, more earth tones and textures. And it's still kind of that crisp feel to things, but as it's shifting more to those warm tones.
Exactly. No, and that's very true. I looked at an article and I want to ask your opinion on this. So this is the third article I've seen in a year in different aspects of the house that told me that brass was back.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it yet.
A little bit though. We're just starting to see it.
I am not a brass fan.
I know. But even in terms of gold tones for handles and fixtures and whatnot. But it's the way it's looking. It's been, I know, silver and brushed nickel, and for a really long time now, it does stand to reason that the brass and the gold tones, it might not be all out brass, because from what I've read myself and heard about it, people that are older, our age or older, have such an aversion to the brass. But what it is it's these younger millennials and Gen Z that they've never seen it. And so it's fresh and it's new. And
where
it's
we
different.
got stuck with brass for like 20 years.
We all hated it. Yeah. So it's probably not going to take on that whole life of it's popular and everybody loves it. But we will still see some here, some there.
The young people.
And from what I'm hearing is it's less the brass and more just sort of the gold tones.
Okay, got you. Well, that makes
so
sense.
like the brushed nickel, but more of a gold than the silver.
Well, the moral of that story is when you have an outdated room in your house, sooner or later it'll be trendy again.
Yes, it comes around, but different things,
Different things.
In terms of coloring, from what I'm hearing, green is the color of 2025 in kitchens.
Wow.
I don't know if this is true or not. Again, just trying to read up on some stuff, and people have their crystal balls, and who knows what's true and what's not.
Right. Yeah. And, pay attention to those fixtures that you're going to put up. More lighting is always better in terms of like getting some cans up, getting some options and such in there.
Cans are recessed lighting. For
recessed
those that
lighting,
don't know.
yes.
Yeah.
And then, having a smart kitchen,
That's true.
that is a thing. If you're remodeling and such, put some of those aspects in, put the plugs in that have the USB chargers right in them. There's things you can do to really modernize your space that make sense.
Right. And aren't too costly if you're already replacing something anyway.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, we jumped a lot of different areas. It is one of those things that if you're remodeling an area, come into it with an open mind. Know that it's going to take a little bit longer than you want. Know that it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than you thought your budget was. That's why they tell you to add 20% to your budget, because that way it gives you that buffer zone, because things happen. And as I tell all of my clients when they're getting an inspection, the inspector can check what's happening on the outside of the walls. They have no idea what's happening on the inside of the walls. So whenever you start to open up drywall, understand that something may be going on the other side of that you weren't aware of. And the older the house, the more things that could be happening behind there. So know that timelines are subjective. You're hoping that it's going to take less time than what they say, but plan on taking it a little bit more because you want them to do it right the first time. And to get that kitchen of your dreams takes a little bit of planning.
Does, but then you'll be happy that you did it.
100%. I've seen some amazing kitchen remodels.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. Really changes that quality of life.
Well, it can change the flow of the entire house.
Yeah.
You know, especially
remarkable.
when they take a wall down sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
you're like,
true.
wow, this is amazing open. And nowadays they can do so much with CAD and with graphics and everything that you can get a real idea of what it's going to look like before you even get started.
Yeah. Makes it great. There's a
Yep.
lot of wonderful professionals out there, and we'd
Yep.
love to introduce them to you.
A lot of them local.
Yes. Local.
That do an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Right.
anything we're missing here?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many things. There's your, undermount sink. There's, it's a lot of pressure to be thinking ahead of like, all right, this is what we're committing to for the
Yeah.
next.
That farmer's sink, that country sink is really popular right now too. Mm-hmm. One of the other things I saw that's really popular now is underneath your kitchen sink having a curtain instead of doors. It was on. I was on a HGTV article this morning, and they were saying that this whole country kitchen thing is a big deal.
Yeah. So just make it right for you, and you'll be happy that you did.
100%. Cool.
Great.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening today. We really appreciate it. Please check out some of our other episodes. If you are not getting our newsletter, please go to welcometolivingston.com. You can sign up for our newsletter there. It comes out every month, has some nice articles about home ownership, some local events that are going on, some stats and figures for housing. And we are always here if you want to reach out to us to help you in anything that you need in terms of real estate or just in terms of advice if you are looking at renovating your kitchen or any other room in your house. So we really do appreciate it. And we just love being here and being able to support the community and give where we can.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about giving, especially in this time of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and enjoy your kitchen. Right? No matter what it is.
Yes. So thank you so much. And
welcome to Livingston.